It's insane. Dorothy is insane. I'm so looking forward to her. Black Clover mobile video. My name is Equality, and today we have a new update and information video on the game. So the first and probably coolest thing that we have is this starting screen now has Black Divider Asta on it as well. Which brings me right to the next topic, which is Black Divider Asta. He is in the game now. I don't like this. I already said this in my summon video before, but I do not really like this. The reason for it being is just simply because I feel like it's rushed. I don't think this character should be here yet. I think we have so many other characters that should be coming before him, but he is there. Him and his skill page, he's a dark attacker, a chaos attacker, and I'm gonna be making a video on him, like a guide, an ultimate guide like I did on the other two characters before. But this probably also means that we could be getting another Yuno next, but we also have Third Eye Raya in the files, so I actually thought that we were gonna get Third Eye Raya before Black Divider Asta, because technically he comes earlier in the story, but at this point I feel like everything is just super mixed up and nothing makes sense anymore, especially in JP. We don't even have Finral yet, and we also don't have the other Vanessa. It doesn't make any sense. But we are getting, or I think the new Vanessa is actually out on global already. I'm gonna go over her kit in a second as well. I'll be going over the kit and everything of this character in my ultimate guide, but basically just in general. So this character works kind of similar to Black Asta, just that he is more based on HP, and he doesn't care about his own defense, but the defense of the enemy. So the more defense the enemy has, the more damage he deals, basically. And then for his HP, I think for every percentage of lost HP, he deals more damage, something like that. So his passive is when attacking, he grants himself an increased damage dealt based on the missing HP, maximum 200%. So I think we would want to have him have HP. Also, he has a thing going on that probably all of the Chaos characters are gonna have, that he gets an extra passive if every character on the team is from a different type, which I think is cool. It's the Chaos thing, I guess, makes sense. Whereas the Harmony thing is that everyone should be from the same type. At least that's how it was with Gray. I saw someone mention that in a comment before. I'm sorry that I don't remember who it was, but good eye there. But yeah, we have the information for Finral. We have Finral's kit. Finral is a light Harmony supporter. I didn't even look through his kit yet, so I don't really know. So his skill 1 is Spatial Magic Bullet. He fires a magic bullet dealing damage to an enemy. Per 20 speed, he attacks after granting a 4% increased damage dealt, and he grants himself an SP +1 buff. Sounds pretty strong, but for a supporter, granting himself more damage dealt, I don't know if that makes sense. But maybe he's like an attacking supporter. Skill 2 is SOS, and he supports an ally with spatial magic, granting them a buff. It grants the ally an increased speed level 3 buff for 2 turns, and he has a 100% chance to grant an attacker ally an increased crit rate level 3 buff for 2 turns. And with his skill page, he grants an attacker ally an increased attack level 4 buff for 2 turns. So that's like crazy good support for pretty much all of the attacker characters already. So for Asta, for Raya, for Kiato, really good support. His special is Fallen Angel's Wing Beat, obviously. Fires a magic bullet that moves dimensions, dealing damage to an enemy. It inflicts an all buff removal on an enemy, and it grants an extra turn. Huh. So that's interesting. So he just removes all of the buffs from an enemy, which is really good. We don't have something like that yet. I think this is really good. And then it grants himself an extra turn so that he can just go ahead and buff one of your allies, one of his allies. That is crazy. His passive is at the start of a battle. If all allies excluding himself are of the same attribute among power, technique, and sense attributes, it grants all allies a 20% increased mobility buff. So like I said before, he's a harmony character, so he wants every other teammate to be the same color. So he would work on mono red, mono blue, mono green. And so basically all of the teams that I said just now with Asta or Black Asta, Kiato or Raya on their teams respectively. His awakening passive is that at the start of a battle, if all allies excluding himself are of the same attribute, he grants himself a speed +3, that is good. And at the start of a wave, grants all allies taunt immunity for 1 turn, which is okay, right? His partner skill grants the partnered mage a 20% increased crit damage buff, which is also nice. And his Grimoire skill on skill 2, like I said, gives also an attack level 4 buff, so we kind of want his skill page. And his Grimoire passive, every turn there is a 100% chance to grant a 35% increased speed buff to the ally whose mobility is below 50% for 1 turn. Okay, that is interesting. That's a crazy passive, actually. That's a crazy Grimoire passive. So every time when an ally's mobility is below 50%, they get a 35% increased speed buff. This is good. That's really good. And then just basically the normal transcendence bonuses: HP, damage resistance, speed 2, HP, defense, and damage resistance. So he doesn't get a special effect on level 125. But that's okay. That's fine. Another thing we have is we have Vanessa's kit, Secret Agent Vanessa. She is a dark/chaos debuffer, and her skill 1 is Thread Tightening. Tightens the threads set on the enemy's side, dealing damage to an enemy. Inflicts an SP -3 debuff on an enemy, so basically stealing a bunch of special points from an enemy. Skill 2 is Agent Bag. She throws a bag with a net device installed in it, dealing damage to an enemy, and inflicts silence on an enemy for 2 turns. And with her skill page, she inflicts a 60% reduced mobility debuff on an enemy, so it's basically about slowing the enemy down a lot. And with her special skill, Red Thread's Fate, she fires a thread bullet, dealing damage to an enemy, and she inflicts a mobility depletion debuff on an enemy, so completely deleting the mobility, so similar to what Julius does with his second skill, and inflicts a disarm level 5 debuff on an enemy for 2 turns. So that just makes them deal less damage, and it grants herself protection for 1 turn, which is nice. Then her passive at the start of the battle, if all allies including herself have different attributes, it inflicts total silence on all enemies for 1 turn, so that's okay, I guess. And upon her awakening passive is upon reaching 30 battle turns without dying. When would that ever happen? 30 battle turns? I mean, does that mean like every time it's a different character's turn? But still, that's a lot of time, because so that's like 6 turns. After 6 turns, this effect will come into play. I don't know. I think this is kind of slow. Inflicts SP -8 on all enemies, and upon reaching 30 battle turns without dying, inflicts 80% increased damage taken on all enemies for 2 turns. But I mean, I guess this is the gimmick of this character, right? Like, you want to slow them down as much as possible, and then they're basically one hit after this. So that's crazy. Her partner skill inflicts a 50% reduced mobility debuff on an enemy, and her Grimoire skill on skill 2 does the 60% reduced mobility debuff. We talked about that already. And her Grimoire passive upon reaching 30 battle turns without dying inflicts 80% reduced defense on all enemies for 2 turns. So on top of them getting 80% increased damage taken, they also get an 80% reduced defense. That is insane. I mean, I guess if you're going for this tactic, just go all the way and get her skill page, get her to 2/6, and she's pretty much insane if you slow the enemy so much. Who could I see her with? I think probably with Julius, because that makes the most sense to me. And actually with Lotus or Julius, because they have to be different. But actually the different attribute thing with the total silence doesn't really matter. Like, you can just disregard that. So go with Julius, go with Lotus, probably maybe Mars. So just smack her on the blue team, basically. You could also just change Mars for season 2/3 Charmy for the heal and never dying, and then that's pretty much, they're pretty much dead. Crazy, really crazy. But there is actually more. There's 2 more characters that we have information on that are now in the files, and that might be coming pretty soon. And I'm kind of excited for those 2 characters because I also kind of called them in my prediction video. Check that out if you haven't yet. Who I mean by that is, one, the first character that we have information on is Spirit of Fire for Fuegoleon Vermilion. And this Fuegoleon is probably going to be a Dark/Chaos attacker, which is absolutely insane to me. I don't understand where they're getting this connection from, but okay. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of Chaos characters in general, but whatever. So this Fuegoleon, his skill 1 is Fire Pillar. Launches a pillar of fire that damages 1 enemy, and it inflicts taunt on an enemy for 1 turn. And if you counter attack without having Salamander's Flame, so that is a new thing for him, present on self, it grants himself the Salamander's Flame buff for 2 turns, which is insane. And then on skill 2, we have Flame Ball. For every instance of continuous burn damage on an enemy is taking, attacks after granting a 40% increased damage dealt buff. So he is definitely for the burn team. And if an enemy is taking continuous burn damage, inflicts continuous burn damage to the left and right enemies other than the designated enemy for 2 turns. That is insane. We don't know the skill page addition yet, but we know his special skill, which is the Roar of Flames. The Flame Lion and Salamander will cover the enemy camp in flames, dealing damage to all enemies. It grants himself an increased all attack level 3 for 2 turns, and it grants himself increased HP recovery level 5 for 2 turns. That is crazy. I don't think I've seen that on a character yet, especially on an attacker character. And it inflicts burn on an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns. Wow, that's crazy. That's gonna be crazy for the burn team. And his passives at the start of the battle grants himself Salamander's Flame buff for 2 turns, and that buff does, if the buff is present on himself, it grants himself 50% lifesteal and 30% reduced damage taken if you counterattack while that buff is present on himself. He performs an extra attack on all enemies to deal damage equal of 100% of attack and 100% of magic attack? Yo. That's crazy. That's crazy. Is he a Fest unit? That sounds like Fest to me. That's insane. And then his awakening passive, when hit by an enemy that is taking continuous burn damage, he counterattacks. And at the start of the battle, if all allies, including himself, have different attributes, and his HP is below 30%, it grants himself an immortality buff for 1 turn. Okay, that's cool. Partner skill inflicts burn on an enemy, and if the buff is present on himself, it inflicts 2 burns on an enemy, dealing continuous damage. So, Jesus Christ. So they get 1 burn for sure. If you have the buff, they get 2 on top of that, so they get 3 burns. It's insane. And then we don't know his Grimoire skill, we don't know the Grimoire passive, and we don't know the Transcendence. And the second character that I'm also very excited for is Dorothy Unsworth. Yes! We're gonna get Dorothy. And Dorothy is a red debuffer. And her skill 1 is the Dream Magic Bullet. Kinda called it. She fires a magical bullet of Dream Magic, dealing damage to 1 enemy. It inflicts an extend debuff duration by 1 turn on an enemy, so basically what Lotus does on his skill 2. And if an enemy is afflicted with Nightmare, it inflicts a 20% reduced mobility debuff on an enemy. What is Nightmare? We're gonna see in a second. Her skill 2 is Dream World. It sends the opponent to the Dream World and deals damage to 1 enemy, which inflicts a disarm level 3 debuff on an enemy for 2 turns, and inflicts a crit rate reduction level 2 debuff on an enemy for 2 turns. I also don't think we have a crit rate reduction character in our repertoire yet. We also don't know the skill page addition for this yet. And her special skill is the Magical Space World of Illusion. It inflicts damage to 1 enemy with an attack in the Dream World, which has a 100% chance to inflict a Nightmare debuff on an enemy for 2 turns, and it inflicts Silence on an enemy for 2 turns. And now, what does the Nightmare debuff do? At the start of the target's turn with the Nightmare debuff, it inflicts a random debuff level 5. Insane. To the target, and if a buff is applied to the target while Nightmare is present, it inflicts a 20% reduced mobility debuff on the target. So, and one of the random debuffs can be reduced damage dealt, increased damage taken, reduced all attack, reduced crit resistance, reduced defense. That's insane. That is literally insane. I would have to think what to pair her with. But the fact that she, through the Nightmare thing, if they're getting buffs, they get debuffed. Oh no, they get the debuff anyways with Nightmare. And Nightmare stays for, does it stay for 2 turns? Yes, Nightmare stays for 2 turns, so they get 2 debuffs guaranteed. Random debuffs. I don't think they stack, but level 5 is insane. And then the fact that with her skill 1, she increases the duration of the debuff by 1 turn, means that they will be debuffed forever, basically. So, I don't know, I feel like if you pair this up with Lotus, and pair it with Lotus, pair her with the new Vanessa, this is insane. Like, the enemy is dead. The enemy is completely dead for sure. So crazy. Wow. And then her passive is it transfers 1 debuff applied to the attacked enemy to all enemies. Oh my god. It's insane. Dorothy is insane. I'm so looking forward to her. And her awakening passive is if you attack an enemy afflicted with a debuff, it grants herself a 20% increased mobility buff. It just gets better. At the start of the wave, it inflicts buff block for 1 turn on the enemy with the highest all attack. Dorothy is insane. and her partner skill inflicts reduced speed level 3 on an enemy for 2 turns. And then we don't even know what the grimoire does yet. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So she's gonna be an amazing character, I can already tell. And I'm looking forward to it so much. It's crazy. And that is pretty much all for the new characters. We have 2 new characters that we already can play with. Black Divider Asta here. Secret Agent Vanessa on Global. She's not in JP yet. She's on Global. We know about Finro. We know about Fuegoleon. And we know about Dorothy. So that's 5 new characters right there. Then the next thing, and I already talked about this in my summoning video, we have three banners going on at the moment. We have Black Divider Asta, which I already did a summoning video on, but I'm not at 200 yet because there is also a... Okay, you just have to take my word on it. There is a daily login bonus thing going on where you get 1 multi of these shitty tickets for free, and there is also another login event that somehow has something to do with Noel, where you get a bunch of rewards. The rewards being... Okay, so I will show it on screen right now. It is the attendance at the Summer Festival commemorative event, and so you can get a couple rewards right here. At the end on day 14, it looks like you can get a free character, a seasonal character, maybe not, maybe just a general character, and a bunch of stamina, 1 SSR coin thing, and a couple other things that are quite nice. And then, so the second banner we have here is basically a festival return banner. So you can pick one of the past festivals, so Black Asta, Mario Leona, Spirit Dive Uno, or Valkyrie Noel, and summon for them with a 0.5% chance. But you also need these shitty paid tickets for it, so I would never in hell suggest anyone to do that, except if you have too much money in your bank account. Of course you can go ahead, don't let me tell you what to do. And then on the standard banner, we can also pick 3 characters that we want to have rated up. And we have the seasonal characters in here now as well. I don't know if this is going to be a lasting thing or if this is just for this season, but we have all 3 here. Let me do my free daily multi. Okay, that was nothing. Anyways, it's a cool thing that this is there. I would still probably not suggest summoning on this banner, but it's just cool that at least for your dailies you can get a higher chance of getting a character that you might not have yet, especially the seasonal characters if you don't have one that is really good. And what else do we have? We have a couple events in here. So we have this event with these boxes where we have these missions for to get the gold coins. The silver coins you can get through the daily missions, which are right like these dailies. These things drop the silver coins, and I don't know where to get the bronze coins from, to be completely honest. Maybe from PvP, because I haven't tried PvP yet, but I haven't figured out where to get these. And then you can buy a chest, but I don't know what is inside of these chests, so we'll see about that. Then we have a new dice event with black and red dice, so kind of Asta-ish dice. The best route again is probably the middle route. So what you want to do is try to get close to here. Use a low dice to to get it on this, and then you can choose to go into the middle, and then you continue low rolling until the end, and then you just use the same dice to go back as much as you can before using the black dice again. Missions for this is straightforward as well. It's just the same thing as always, basically. Then we have the big boy again, the Battle Gigas, and of course a completion event for this as well, where you can get some minor rewards. And then we have this is what exactly? Is this? I think this is real-time PvP. Wow. Okay, I will try that out later, but that's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know they have a beta real-time PvP mode in here now. That's insane. And I think that is pretty much it though. Okay, we have the mileage thing as well. And I think they are doing this also because we have this thing here, which is a kind of like a step up, pay some little money thing. If you're a low spender, I think I would suggest you to get this, because this is actually not even $5 to get all the way to the end, and you get one of these at the end, which I think is always good, and in between you get this, which is also good. And of course some paid crystals, not a lot, but at least a few. And then that's, I think, pretty much it for the events. Hey everyone, future me here real quick. There's one thing that I forgot to mention, which is actually probably the most important thing of this update for JP, and that is the fact that now when we go to here, we do not get crystals anymore for completing the memory dungeon, but instead we get these bottles, and it's actually called memory dust, if I am correct. And what you can do with this dust is when you go to the hideout. Okay, so Gray has a new menu here for these bottles, and you can craft summoning tickets with it. You can craft universal dupes, universal skill page dupes, and also these coins with it, which is nice, I would say. So for one summoning ticket is 48. I have 180 right now. Okay. One universal dupe is 4,300. One universal skill page is 2,900. And one of these is 1,400. I think I would probably buy these most of the time, but I'm probably gonna save it for now. But yeah, this is what they changed it to now. I'm not sure if I like this, because before the crystals that we got, I think it was almost two summons for doing the dungeon 6 times. And now, I mean, I think I already did this like 5 times or something. 5, 6, 7 times, even more maybe. And I can only get 3 summoning tickets from it. So, but yeah, that's what this is for. But we have kind of like a schedule, how it's gonna continue next. The next update is gonna be on the 13th, which is in 2 weeks on Wednesday, I think. And then the next update after that is going to be the 29th. But we don't really know when we're going to get there yet. So the next information is probably going to come out on 11th, 12th, or the weekend before that. And that's mainly it, I think. Yeah, that is all for today. I hope this video was informative and you liked it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And as always, hope you had a great day, and hope you stay kind, stay balanced, and keep gaming. And we'll see each other in the next video. Bye, everyone.